Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Hey, I'm Mark. Thanks for having me, Eric, on your wonderful podcast.
Yeah, it's great to have you, Mark. I'm so glad you could free up some time in your very busy schedule to join me. Today, Mark is going to join us as we're talking about Warhammer.
Not my topic of expertise.
I know. It's a little outside your wheelhouse, but
Age of Sigmar, right?
That's our normal.
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar, Fantasy Underworlds.
No, that's not a thing. Fantasy Underworld.
The Star Rings, Lord of the Wars.
Okay.
Halo. Call of Halo.
Call of the Halo.
Right? No.
Excellent.
Welcome to Lorehammer.
Welcome to Lorehammer.
Joining us today are Rio.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us. And also Micah.
Hello.
Wow. He's just trying to trip people up who can see the camera. That's what that is.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
I like
Nobody
it.
liked that.
I did.
Nobody. But today is an episode about Necron. And
Necron,
it's
sweet.
very well placed.
Wow.
Yeah, not intentional.
Not intentional at all. We just
I
happened.
had another one of my fever dreams, and it happened to line up perfectly. When we wrote this down.
It
lined
just
up perfectly.
it just turns out that every time Mark touches something, it's just he's got the Midas touch, It's just it turns into gold. But it's apt. It's on brand just because Games Workshop has been releasing. We're about to step into 9th.
Yeah, pretty quick.
And Necron are the big bad. So we've been seeing a lot of cool models and releases for Necron. Obviously, it just gets my Jimmy's going. So
They're so pretty. They're so pretty.
We just watched that trailer with these two before we started recording.
yeah. It's
Did you like us? Did you like it?
Did you
Oh,
enjoy it?
Validate it, please.
I like the part with the robots.
We're just gonna do a quick
I do
little
like that part.
selfie
Oh,
right here, boys.
Right on.
If I could just get everyone in frame, there we go. Whoop whoop.
yeah, that's
beautiful.
quality audio listening right there.
quality.
Yeah. Well, I never said this is a podcast for the listeners.
That's
It's for your.
it's
for
for
you.
the
It's for me.
Yeah,
it's for you.
Anyways, before we start off, I'm going to share with everyone, but mainly with you two, to really
Specifically.
really get you into the understanding of what we're touching today, and that is the secrets of the universe are within my grasp. You cannot stop me now. And that's attributed to Illuminor Caesaris, who, as we all know, recently had a rebirthing of his model, which actually goes on sale like
Next week?
Yeah,
Today?
next week, or pre-orders are today or something in Canada, and it's getting on sale next week. So 10 out of 10. He's a cool character, but
It's a good quote.
it's great. You cannot stop him.
It almost sounds like a quote from like Jesus or something.
Yeah, the secrets.
You can't stop me.
The secrets of the universe are within his grasp.
Yeah,
I
like,
don't.
It's pretty sweet.
What's the problem? Yeah, but we have a community corner before we actually get into the episode, which is cool. Do you want to share it, Marcus?
Yep. Yeah, so this community corner is for the Galactic Hammer podcast, teaching people about Star Wars and 40K and doing it as jankily as possible. Exactly, yeah. That is the sound they wanted us to make. So basically, for this podcast, they do one episode on something about Star Wars, and then they do another episode on 40K, and then they'll do like kind of like a battle between the two. So it's like the first episode was on Clone Troopers, Arc Troopers, and the Domino Squad. And then their next one is on Dark Angels, and then I guess they'll do like a smash up and see who would come out on top. Something like that.
Wouldn't 40K almost always come out on top?
No, Rio. Yes.
There's like YouTube channels that always do comparisons between like Halo and Star Wars and 40K, and 95% of the time it's 40K.
Yeah.
Everything's just
40K is
so
just too
ridiculous.
brutal.
It's so good.
that's fun. So they just love Star Wars and 40K. And if anyone wants to make a suggestion for an episode, hit them up at the Galactic Podcast on Facebook.
Galactic Hammer.
Galactic Hammer. Yeah.
We'll include the link in our notes.
Yeah.
Just in our little blurb that we have of the episode. So if you're curious, take a look at the show notes for it, and you can follow their link.
Yeah, go check it out.
I haven't listened to it, but Star Wars and 40K, it's,
Neither one of those are up my alley.
two science fantasy universes that are awesome. What could possibly go wrong?
I see.
Famous last words.
Yeah, so go check them out. The next thing we have before we get into our episode is the Libre Malleus update. So this is that project that I started many months ago.
Many moons,
where we are building an official Lorehammer Space Marine chapter. I haven't really talked about it that much.
Well, it's been in a weird period of transition with Corona.
Yeah, so basically, like, I bought all the stuff, like, the day after I announced it. And, like, we sold out the first campaign in, like, 10 days. We sold out 40 spots and 4 vehicles and stuff. Eric's just showing a model online. Yeah, so I ended up painting like 40 models and 3 vehicles in like, it was under a month. It was a couple weeks at most. Mm-hmm. And then I was waiting on bases and name tags for fucking 3 months. I was waiting for shipping because it happened like right before COVID.
Yeah. Right.
So all the shipping was messed up. So if you haven't seen updates, that's why. But I did just get the bases and the name tags in this week.
Oh, Eric, they don't get your sound effects because you're not by mic.
But I can hear it. It's distracting. He's sticking around on the camera with the models.
Just a couple flyboys.
Yeah.
There you go.
They do look awesome, though. I really like the colors.
Yeah. Like, I put time into it. Our buddy Ian, he's been on the podcast. He airbrushed all the gray so that, like, it looks good. But I just thought I'd give you guys an update. Like, I am progressing. I do have the bases now. I do have the name tags. So, probably within the next couple weeks, I'll get it all painted up and then start posting some pictures online and sending it out to people who actually helped support us do this. Because I'm still really excited about this project. Like,
there's a lot of people who have even submitted stories for their characters that they've named.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to be able to start sharing some of that.
Exactly. But yeah,
because
it was like fucking 3 months of shipping delay.
Yeah, and it felt like we couldn't really share it until the project was fully completed. We didn't really want to share a partial project and then have it just sit there for months.
Because guarantee if I posted one of those guys, people would be like, where's the bases? Why haven't you done the bases?
Why isn't it based? What's his name?
You son of a bitch, Greg, leave me alone.
But yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing I want to talk about before we get on to our episode here, we are starting another podcast, kind of. Not really we're authorizing another podcast. It's going to be called Let's Talk Lorehammer. And basically the concept of this podcast is going to be, it's for the community, by the community. So we got 2 hosts. We got Dylan, who's been on a bunch of episodes, and our buddy UK Matt.
Who's been on 1 episode?
2. He's been on a lockdown anime.
Oh, that's right.
So these 2 are going to head up this podcast. And basically they want to have guests from our community, from our Discord on the podcast to talk about the lore, to talk about their armory, to do whatever kind of things involves in the community aspect.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we get a bunch of emails where it's like, oh yeah, I was listening to you guys and I really wanted to input this. So Lorehammer Let's Talk is going to be that platform. They're going to do like an episode review, and then you guys can join in and give us your own thoughts on what that episode was.
Yeah.
So
you talk about what stuff we got wrong, or what you really thought was cool,
what you want expanded, whatever kind of is pulling you. And then also, it's going to be a great spot. Like, we're not going to do community corners anymore. It's going to get transferred to there, because the whole point of Lorehammer Let's Talk Lorehammer, Let's Talk, whatever we call it.
Let's talk Lorehammer.
The reason I started 40K or Lorehammer, is to meet people and hang out with people. So this is going to be a way better platform to do that than Lorehammer Main. Because we just can't have a guest on here. It just doesn't work well.
No.
So
I don't think any guest we've had on here has actually been good.
Oh, no.
No.
God.
Like it's such a even the
Let's
people
name names.
Even the people we have today. I'm always concerned, that.
Yeah. So so that's
looking
kinda,
at you two.
I don't blame you, to be honest.
No, completely justified.
I don't know anything really. So.
So that's kind of the concept. go join our Discord because they're going to be pulling a lot of stuff off the Discord. And if you want to be on episodes, you have to be on the Discord. Like, that's how you're going to call in and stuff. So if you want to be involved in that, go join that. Yeah, I'm going to be on that podcast doing editing, so I'll be in the background. But yeah, it's going to be.
Well, you're just there to also hang out.
Yeah. Like I'll be there, hang out with you guys too and stuff. But those two guys are really going to be taking on a lot of the work. So having said that, when we do get that up and going in the next couple weeks or months or whatever it happens, it's going to be quick. It is its own podcast. It's not going to be on the Lorehammer feed. You're going to have to actually go to their podcast feed. You're going to have to go to their Patreon and support them. Because while we give them our blessing, we're not giving them our money. So,
yeah. I mean, they're effectively already starting with our fan base.
Yeah.
So,
you know, what else do they want? Yeah. So
It's a great idea, though.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's going to be a great way to get your guys', the listeners, thoughts out there onto the airwaves with us. So it's going to be sweet. So that's, stay posted. But go check the Discord out. We're going to be starting it up like right away here. So go keep in touch there.
Cool. Well,
over there. Okay. Well,
we're good to start, I think.
Yeah.
Let's dive right in. Today's episode is all about Necron Warcrypts. Last time we talked about Necron, episode 62. It was about the dynastic legions, and we talked about the Necron court, as well as dynasty markings, colors, heraldry. But we mainly focused on individual Necron peoples.
Yeah.
From like powerful pharaons to warriors, but they were specifically people who were in the courts. Sure. So we ignored, destroyer cults and flayers and mercenary guilds of the Death Marks, and like we didn't even really touch cryptics like as far as we could have.
Because they're definitely their own thing.
Yeah. But another thing that we purposefully avoided were Necron war engines and their machines of war, and
because every dynasty has their own soldiers and their own vehicles.
And they all choose to wage war in their own unique way that they prefer. So that's what this episode is all about: is the war engines of the Necrons. So from the smallest craft to mountains of living metal that house wormholes or the heart of a star, the Necron Warcrypts have an insane variety of death-dealing vehicles, and that's today's focus.
They have some truly like the most crazy things in all of 40k, like
terrifying.
Like
from true doomsday weapons.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you read through like their technology too, it's like, oh yeah, we just captured this sun and put it in this weapon. Like, oh okay,
we opened a portal to the heart of a star and then we unleash it on you.
Okay.
And we kind of broke it down into what we considered like size ratings of vehicles. So we're going to start at like the smallest, and we're going to progress to the biggest and bigger and bad of Necron vehicles.
Yeah, and then we'll get to flyers, and then we'll get to actually the Necron fleet itself.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of an information-heavy episode, but it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, Senor Mark.
Tomb Blades. They're classified as a light vehicle. So small one-pilot aircraft, originally designed for space battles. However, they were quickly modified to be used planet-side. Tomb Blades are incredibly quick and maneuverable, able to perform many feats that an organic pilot would dream. What's with this cadence I'm having?
I don't know.
Wouldn't dream of due to the G-force. It's fun.
I think that whole statement is something that's very characteristic of Necron, really. You'll see that come back over a couple of the flyers that we pass through, is just that not being biological, just being machines, like tight Gs, tight turns, crazy maneuvers. It kind of means nothing to them. So it all just comes down to whether their craft is capable of it.
Yeah.
And as we know from Necron,
they have the most advanced tech in the galaxy.
Exactly. Yeah. So
without a doubt.
Anything that you can, like the most crazy things that we would consider an impossibility for the Necron is kind of standard kit for them.
The effects of gravity and friction are limited on its frame due to the dimension repulsor engines, which allow its flight patterns to vary and shift so drastically compared to other aircraft. Yeah, it's like when they describe its flight pattern, it's like corkscrewing and spinning around, like stopping on a dime and then shooting up. Like it's so
impossible to track and
impossible.
follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's armed with medium-sized weapons, allowing for the destruction of specific priority targets. Yeah. So I think it has like gauze flares. What do Immortals have?
Gauze cannons.
Like it has that, or Tesla cannons.
Yeah. There's another one that it can have some interdimensional beamer. Or something.
Yeah.
But all in all, they're single person, small spherical. They're definitely like small attack craft.
Yeah.
Not much bigger than the Necron that is inside it, really.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool that they're exposed to the elements. Like there's
there's
no
elements?
need for them to have like a cockpit. There's no need for them to be fully enclosed because
you actually even see if you look at the vehicle itself, they are strapped within that thing. They're integrated into the tomb blade itself even. So it just allows, they just become the machine itself and take over it. And
I like what he looks through too. He looks through like this fucking glowing
orb.
orb.
that plugs right into his eye, and I think that just becomes his sensory input.
Sure, and then he has like 360 view.
Absolutely.
Sure. That's pretty sweet.
No, it's a very cool concept. Probably the weirdest thing about this vehicle is the very first line. Originally designed for space battles, quickly modified to be used planet-side.
Yeah, and
why would you even make that distinction in the first place?
It's especially weird because like 40K crafts are so big, like they're
kilometers long.
Yeah, it's like a 15-kilometer ship. So what could this one like one of those would fit in this room probably.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I've never really considered about like fighting planet-side in aerial battles, like on Earth we have a certain amount of gravity, but a whole bunch of other planets, even in our solar system, have like substantially greater gravity. So like within the world of 40K, there's got to be some planets that just have incredible amounts of just natural gravity.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
That's where squats are from.
They just can't grow normal. They're just constantly getting pressed down. But
the technology has to compensate for that. That's cool.
Yeah,
it does. But you also like take a look at this. It has a dimension repulsor engine.
That does sound pretty fancy.
Sure.
Who knows what it does?
Yeah, it's science fancy is something I like to call it.
Science fancy.
You like that?
Oh, I love that. 40K needs to be rebranded as that.
Science fancy.
Science fancy.
All right, I'm going to take the next one. That's it for actually our light vehicles.
Yeah.
They don't have this would be their version if I had to make a comparison. This is their version of like attack bikes.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I agree.
It's the single person carrier with a weapon on it, right? Like that's the only thing. But there's nothing really else that they have that's this small.
Yeah.
So we're going to go right up to the next one, which is the Annihilation Barge. So following the crescent-shaped aesthetic of the Necron, this light anti-gravitational skimmer is piloted by 2 Necron. It carries a large twin-linked Tesla destructor, and that's used primarily against infantry. And then, even though it has strong destructive capabilities, it's mainly deployed in defensive positions, which seemed odd when I was reading it in the Codex. It talked about how it's deployed defensively because, quote, it can't keep up with the main Necron force.
Weird.
Which makes zero sense.
If you look at go join our Patreon for $2, you can look at the images. But if you look at
you could just Google.
No,
but you should definitely join our Patreon.
It doesn't look like it's slow or something. It's not like walking on legs or something.
Yeah.
It has
No,
jet
it's a
engines.
flyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the Necron
Yeah.
race. So I think that's a little odd. But
Why do you think it has 2 pilots or needs 2 pilots?
I would imagine one for flying and one for targeting the gun.
you say that, and yet the Catacomb command barge also has 2 pilots but no gun. I don't know. I don't know why it has 2 pilots. It could just be it's like a sensory thing where they're all just watching a bunch of different sensors trying to make communications.
Extra
really
processing power?
Yeah.
Maybe.
They really just work in unison more than
Yeah.
Okay.
I imagine they can probably link somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty common with Necron vehicles to have an integrating mechanism with the vehicle. So that makes complete sense to me. But yeah, I don't think there's like a defined reason.
Yeah,
You'll even
it could
see
even-
there's there's these little crescent shapes behind the Necron body. They actually pinch into the body. And so that would be like into your sides.
Sure.
Like, and that could be how they integrate into the vehicle. These things just clamp and just smash, like punch through the sides of the Necron
And then
body.
the living metal like reforms around
Absolutely.
it. Sure,
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a scorpion, actually.
Oh, yeah, sure, with the tail. Yeah, when I said the crescent shaped, I meant the crescent is kind of horizontal.
Yeah.
And they sit in the pocket of it. And then, yeah, Rio's right. There's kind of a tail that comes over top.
It's
But
cool.
yeah.
It's
But
cool
yeah,
looking vehicle. Do you have one of those?
I do.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Yeah, because it's not great
Oh, okay.
on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, you've seen it once. You
Okay.
have.
Okay, I'll take
And
your
it was
word
very
for it.
forgettable, apparently.
Apparently.
Well, yeah, it probably died turn 1.
Probably also wasn't painted, so it's like fuck that. Out of sight, out of mind. So the next thing we got here.
All around me are familiar. Rio, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this is the Catacomb command barge. So following the same design as the Annihilation Barge, this vehicle has removed the large cannon on top. Instead, they carry lords and overlords and act as their personal transports.
That's sick.
So the advantage to using this vehicle lies in its giant carrier wave generator, used to instantly issue commands to troops anywhere on the battlefield.
So you actually see that really represented on tabletop, where there's a rule called "My Will Be Done," and normally the range is only 6 inches. But when you choose this as your HQ choice, that instantly becomes a 12-inch radius.
Nice.
So it's kind of cool. There's some kind of generator that allows him to communicate much more effectively and at larger distances to his forces. So that's kind of cool. It's it's a good reason to be in that. So
When I look at it too, like it really looks like a chariot.
Yeah,
It
I was
is
just
very much
thinking
a
that.
chariot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the overlord sitting, it has like
They're
the
standing,
rounded,
actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, standing and like leaning on like that rounded chariot part, and
absolutely, he's got the staff and he's pointing it, directing it. It's very
So
much
good.
chariot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right, yeah. Which goes kind of along with the Egyptian theme a little.
absolutely.
Yeah. So lords and overlords are commonly seen flying high above the battle or resting far away watching the battle, divining their enemies' strategies and relaying orders to their troops.
So this one apparently can keep up with armies. It can go kind of wherever, even though it's the same frame.
If anything, slightly bigger, has an extra body on
Slightly
it.
better. No, well, yeah, they actually, it is the same kit even on tabletop, and all you do is you remove that gun turret
And you just replace it with a
slap
lord.
the overlord.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is, I really like the idea, because there definitely are some overlords or lords who like leading from the front.
Sure.
And then there are some who like leading from the back. And I like the fact that this is kind of a mobile HQ station, right? Every time I picture like a commander leading from the back, they're in like a room in the middle of nowhere
yeah.
with a bunch of like data feeds or whatever, and they're relaying orders. But instead, he's just flying so high above the battle, witnessing everything. And then because of that extra carrier wave generator, he's just relaying the orders in real time down to his army. I kind of like that.
Is that
aesthetic.
altitude represented on tabletop at all?
There's no altitude isn't really a thing on
Yeah.
table. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's kind of cool to think that they're just hovering, and you might not even notice them, and but they're seeing everything. Yeah.
So those last two were more so the medium.
Yep.
And now going into the more heavy stuff. The first one we have is the Doomsday Arc. These floating platforms are little more than a gun with engines. The Doomsday Cannon is so large that it requires this framework to hold it aloft.
It's
'Cause-
big.
Yeah, that thing is...
This picture right here kind of shows how long that
the
cannon
gun,
is.
the barrel of the gun is as long as the rib cage of the vehicle.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
probably like a 20-foot long gun,
It's
realistically.
massive.
That's so cool.
It's much larger than that.
Sure, maybe it is.
Much larger.
25.
This thing is
30.
This thing is on par with a Land Raider in terms of length, if not
Okay.
larger.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Sure.
The aesthetic reminds me of like a slave rowboat.
That's what I was thinking.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Hold
Yeah.
that
We'll get to the
thought.
ghost
Yeah.
stuff.
Hold
Okay.
that thought.
Okay. Despite being large, it has a very fragile-looking appearance. What?
But it makes up.
Okay. But it makes up for this by using quantum shielding to deflect incoming weapons fire, creating a durable and destructive war engine.
Yeah, quantum shielding is a really interesting mechanic. It works
we're a mechanics podcast.
Tell me how quantum shielding works.
Okay, you know what? I know how.
He knows how to make a nuke.
He does know how to make a nuke.
All you need is the internet.
No, okay. You know, I have no idea how quantum shielding works, but I know how the shielding that covers these that the Imperium calls quantum shielding works.
Right.
And the more devastating the impact, the less likely the chance of this thing ever being affected by it. And at some point, if you have such a devastating impact, whatever shielding it has, it just won't affect you. You can shoot the most deadly cannon ever at that, and you just can't overload this quantum shielding.
But then some orcs just going DACA
Absolutely
would do more damage.
It's really weird. It's like a slower, less powerful projectile has a higher chance of wounding that thing than a volcano cannon.
That's sick.
Yeah, like Titan weapons can't even damage that thing because they always do, such high damage, and you roll a dice or whatever, and you just can't fail that roll. So it's very cool, especially on tabletop. But I like to think, how's that's represented in 40K life as well. It's just they're some super weapon is trying to melt it, and it just is unscathed.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
The Doomsday Cannon itself has two unique modes of firing. When the platform remains still, it allows the Doomsday Cannon to fully charge, and anything less than a void shield will not offer any protection against it.
It's crazy. I don't like doing the tabletop thing, but
Sure.
this one really is crazy. It has a -5 AP.
It's good. Strength 10.
Oh,
So yeah, like
She's a big boy.
Anything it touches, it fucks up. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing that saves it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's actually a really common thing with a couple things in Necron. It seems to be a very high strength and a very high AP, and it's completely neutralized in its ineffectiveness by giving it either random shots or random damage.
Sure.
So that's a crazy thing about this is it's very easy to wound things, but when it comes to damage, you have the same chance of rolling 6 damage as you do of rolling 1.
Sure.
Which is a really weird spot to put this Doomsday Cannon in. So.
but I feel like you have to balance it because
Exactly,
the
I know.
lore-wise, it's a beast and it
Yeah.
will melt anything in front of it. But you have to balance it with fun and interactive gameplay.
You're 100% right. There's like a level you have to suspend like your understanding of the Necron as the galactic dominating race that they were.
Yeah.
And you have to say, okay,
And
it has to be
again.
a game. Well, of course they are. They're rising. It's time. Anyways. But that's Doomsday Arc. Very cool. Very cool.
You want to read this next one?
I
know
do.
You're super passionate about it.
I do. So, the Ghost Arc. The standard troop transport of the Necron, some would say the only troop transport of the Necron. It is very similar in design to the Doomsday Arc, but has removed the Doomsday Cannon, flipped the rib cage, and in order to carry 10 Necron infantry. It is also equipped with 2 arrays of Gauss flares, which is also on the Doomsday Cannon. It's just these Gauss flares sticking out the side of the ribs.
Sure.
So originally, 60 million years ago, this thing was made out of wood, and it was designed to carry the Necronter dead to their final resting places in their mausoleums and in their crypts. But they were transformed during the time of the biotransference and used to round up the Necronter to take them to massive furnaces. So, okay. Because only a spark of life was required for the biotransference, the ones responsible for collecting the citizens began to viciously assault the Necron population when they resisted, breaking their bodies to just before the point of death and piling their near corpses onto the arcs to be carried away. Necronter, hiding from these brutal raids, could even see the spirits of their brethren floating above the ghost arcs, mourning their loss. Eventually, the sight of this ghost arc was synonymous with fear. Or terror, sorry. That was so awesome
That's
when I
it.
read that. Terrified.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
crazy.
to me that seems like that has a little bit of like lore implications where they can literally see the spirits of their brethren floating above the ghost arcs. Though.
Well, okay, so first of all, that's 60 million years old.
Okay.
It could just be a tail. It could be that someone etched like I like to imagine that a lot of information that we know about Necrons are found on hieroglyphics.
Okay.
And so I like to imagine that you could see these on the hieroglyphs, and the way they would represent the fact that they were carrying dead is they would carve spirits above it, so you would know there was dead in it. So I don't know if it's a real thing, and it very well could be, because you know the Catan, it consumed the spirits and souls of the Necron Tur. So it could be they physically manifested somehow, but it also could just be someone's artistic representation.
When did you change from Satan to Catan?
When Games Workshop released the official way of saying it is Catan.
Nice. What about Zinch? Chinch?
It's Chinch.
It's Chinch?
Yeah.
Oof.
Just another thought on that too. So the Warp 2 was very different 60 million years ago too.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't chaos gods that devour your soul when you go into the warp. So
yeah, it was a much more tranquil place.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea that the original shape of these was wood, and then eventually they mechanized them, and then these people would just like through the streets, and
just
you would see like the green aura,
and just break both their legs so they can't run away,
or their spine, and like twist their neck but make sure there's still life there, and then just pile the corpse on there. And
so when they were wood, were they like wagons?
Yeah, they were
with
drawn by
wheels.
beasts of burden.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like this aesthetic of this has carried on for almost like a very long time, because they're also very technologically advanced even back in the day. Yeah. So you have to assume that this wagon would have been from way early in their heritage, right?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's not awesome, but it is.
It's awesome.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most grimdark things I've read in a long time about
40K.
Yeah, it's up there. Like doing that to your own population and stuff. Because I'm sure
you're just rounding up the citizens.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's going to be massive rebellions and entire wars fought over this biotransference thing. Like we kind of gloss over it. We say, the biotransference happened and now they're all Necron.
Yeah, one day later, everyone's Necron.
Truly though, like this would have been a years-long campaign to get entire systems and planets transformed into these Necron, and entire wars would have been fought, entire rebellions
And just imagine being one of those rebels, like you're fighting like these undead robots, and you're fucked.
Yeah, this is what waits you is to just become this soulless creation, and they literally are just picking you up and crushing your body.
It's so good.
Just, in my head, it's just like a TV show right now. It'd be so good.
It's very cinematic. It's very hopeless, and it's a very strong theme that is communicated in this.
Make a sick video game.
Oh yes,
genocide and breaking people's spines.
Well, not that. Like, fighting against the genocidal people.
If you can have a successful zombie game, this would be like possibly way better in my opinion. It
is a good story. It's really
it's unique, but can still inspire all the same fear.
Sure.
It's good.
Yeah. So in current times, though, Ghost Arcs hold Necron that are too badly damaged to repair on their own, and they either enhance their reanimation protocols or they break down their bodies into raw reusable energy while transferring their consciousness back to the tomb world or the tomb ship, where they can be refit into a new body. And then swarms of reconstructor scarabs are also held inside the Ghost Arc to assist in repairing the Necron bodies. Very if you ever take a look at the models, you can actually see those reconstructor scarabs on the Necron that are actually sitting inside in their damaged repair state.
Yeah, it's cool. They're all like tucked in there, like arms over their chest.
Some of them are missing arms, some are missing legs.
And it's kind of cool how the flavor of like what it used to be and what it is now,
how
there's like
changing.
a little bit of a connection between it, where it's like the half dead.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I love it.
Yeah, Ghost Arcs 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Monolith, we got the Monolith up next. So a massive pyramid-shaped structure made of living metal. It is equal parts transport, destroyer, and icon of Necron power. Yeah, this is one of the most iconic things in all, definitely for Necron, but even in just all of 40K.
Even in 40K, it's very recognizable.
Yeah, like any player who's done 40K knows what this is, knows what it looks like. But if I'm like, oh yeah, do you know what a Doomsday Arc is?
You're much less likely.
You might not know what that is. But as it floats ponderously across the battlefield, glowing green energy seep from its power matrix, covering the surrounding area in an eerie glow.
Double checking because I know that some groups of Necron have different colors.
Yeah.
Same thing would apply.
Oh,
It's not always
Absolutely.
green.
Yeah.
Glowing glow. Is
Yeah.
that
In
glowing,
a glow.
In a glow.
Glowing
Eerie.
color energies.
Yes. Yes.
Insert color here.
Commonly green though.
Yeah.
So we mentioned its transport. The
Yes.
Eternity Gate on the front side of the monolith has a dimensional portal, allowing endless waves of Necron warriors to pour through it onto the battlefield. So that portal like ties directly back to the tomb world.
Yeah, or a tomb ship, or anywhere that they want, really. It's not actually a transport. There's no Necron inside the monolith. It's just a dimensional door that opens up. this
Exactly.
gate.
So it's a portable portal.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, the math behind figuring that out is staggering. Oh, I don't like that. Its main weapon, the particle whip, shoots a bolt of pure energy, lashing out and arcing across living creatures as it finds themselves on the receiving end. Yeah, so it's got like this big crystal on top that just like shoots blasts of like. It really looks like electricity almost.
Yeah, it looks
it's
like
just,
lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also even has just 4 smaller turrets placed around
Yeah.
it, just regular Gauss weaponry. So like it's still a pretty formidable tank.
Yeah. Its living metal hull is layered and so thick that it is nigh impossible to bring a monolith crashing to the ground without the use of most deadly weapons. Any minor damage done to it will only be repaired moments later because of the living metal.
Mm-hmm.
Another unique feature of the monolith is the Night Shroud. This occurs when 2 monoliths are close enough together that the energy barrier is formed between the two. All weapon fire that passes through this barrier are less effective, and even more interestingly and unexplained is that the Night Shroud blocks all psychic powers that attempt to breach the energy wall. There's stories of now if you get 3 of them, now it creates a triangle, and everything in that triangle, if you're like a psyker, you can't even use psychic powers now.
It completely knocks out your connection to the warp.
So
That's crazy.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, this is such an icon, and unfortunately, I haven't. It's not represented that way on table, and I really wish it was because I love bringing this thing. It just looks so good when you smash that down and you pour warriors out of it. It's so Necron.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk a bit about it at the end, but they're getting a new model, so high hopes.
Very high hopes.
Very high hopes for
It sounds like a pretty perfect vehicle, to be honest, for war.
like it. You'll find that a lot of the Necron vehicles are, truly. But the whole fact that, nothing is even inside it. So even if you do destroy it, it's not really a big loss for them. It's living metal, so it's notoriously difficult to destroy. And then the more you have, the more powerful they become. And you'll even see that. So we've talked about the Night Shroud, and Mark's talking about like the nullifying field. But there's actually another effect that happens that you'll see later when we talk about other versions of the monolith. So this vehicle only gets crazier. There's not where you come back and say, well, actually it's a little weak, and truthfully it just gets even more terrifying.
So correct me if I'm wrong too, like this thing can teleport onto the battlefield.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so it's like
yes.
it just no monolith, then boom, monolith.
Yeah. Oh, boom. Then warriors.
Yeah.
Boom. Then particle whips.
Yeah.
And boom, nullifying field.
And it's teleportation without the warp, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
pure
It's
science.
dimensional.
It's crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. They use wormholes and everything, and they don't touch the warp at all. So it's only better than everything else. That's
It's only better.
It's only better.
It's funny. Sometimes we've done like posts on our Facebook and Instagram, like, "Oh yeah, Necron tech, the most advanced," and people are like, "What about the Tau?" It's like, oh come on!
like, what about the Eldar? Like, Admech have some pretty cool tech.
You guys are stupid. Like, come on.
I think a lot of people. Well, first of all, there's not a lot of Necron stories out there.
Sure.
And I think that's how the majority of people consume their 40K universe is through novelizations.
Sure.
And there's just not a lot out there.
And then when there is,
it seems that everyone misunderstands what's happening with Necron. The number of times I've had to tell people that, well, I don't think Tesseract actually was allying with the Blood Angels out of the goodness of his heart. The number of times I've had to say that is a little ridiculous. But I'll say it again for the people in the back. But yeah, there's not a lot of books out there, so the best way to consume Necron lore is definitely Codex.
Yeah.
And Codex Necron are terrifying.
Yeah.
There's nothing that matches Codex Necron.
What about tabletop Necron?
They're not even close. Almost any army on tabletop is better than Necron tabletop. So, but soon,
That'll happen.
soon,
Yes.
Major Domo. Yeah. Anyways, who wants to do the Tesseract Arc?
Rio?
Yeah.
Sure.
Rio's got it.
Okay. The Tesseract Arc is built around the contained singularity torn from the heart of a dying star. And it unleashes a fraction of this power in combat to obliterate its enemies. For all that power, it is relatively small and piloted by a single Necron. The Arc is surrounded by a gravitational distortion field, which it uses to move itself, as well as a defensive mechanism crushing any would-be attackers under a mighty weight.
Yeah, like even this one just really solidifies that point we're just saying. Like their technology is crazy. Like
It has
doesn't
a singularity contained within this vehicle, and it's not even like a dangerous thing. They're just, oh yeah, this is like normal tech for us.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It honestly doesn't even make any sense.
It doesn't.
Like,
it doesn't. It's
Isn't a
supposed to be
singularity like a
It's a
infinitely
wormhole.
dense like point?
a singularity is a wormhole, is it not? I'm googling it. What
Wormhole,
is
black
a
hole?
singularity?
I thought it was like an infinitely dense, like condensed.
A singularity is a location where the quantities. Oh, I'm ready for this.
Ah,
All right, you ready, Mark?
I'm ready. I got my listening ears.
In scientific terms, a gravitational singularity, or space-time singularity, is a location where the quantities that are used to measure the gravitational field become infinite in a way that does not depend on the coordinate system. In other words, it is a point in which all physical laws are indistinguishable from one another, where space and time are no longer interrelated realities, but merge indistinguishably and cease to have any independent meaning.
Of course, that makes sense to me.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
pretend like
so-
I know what that means.
That's a
then
black
how you
hole,
turn
not a
that into,
wormhole.
uh,
It's a black
weapon?
hole.
It-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a black hole. Wormholes have 2 points. Black hole is just a singular. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, this is in our vehicle,
Yeah.
and we contain it.
And even just the way it moves, it's not like, oh yeah, we have thrusters. No, we use gravitational distortion fields.
Yeah. Well, because I imagine that the vehicle holding a
Oh.
singularity is so impossibly
Yeah,
heavy.
I guess you would.
But it has to be able to literally aim that gravity because it's using that
Absolutely.
gravity inside itself to pull itself forward,
Yeah.
and at the same time can just instantly point that gravity at someone else to crush them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so crazy.
and yet, apparently the Tau.
Well, have you heard of rail rifle? Something that we have in our current day and age.
Have you ever heard of ion cannon?
hey, if you got like 1,000 drones together, think of the AI.
Okay.
But yeah, this thing is so cool. I actually also love the shape of this one.
Yeah.
It has a massively shielded front end, it looks like. It looks, to me, I always pictured it was really trying to make sure that whatever was containing the singularity is like super protected. That's kind of the thing I always got from it.
At this point, we're still under like the heavy category. So like, how
Yeah.
big is this in scale? Do you think?
So
It's okay, so in length, it's probably as long as a Land Raider
thought you could
or
see
a
the-
Predator. Yeah, you can see the pilot.
Oh god.
Spoilers.
Oh god.
You can see the pilot inside.
Yeah,
it.
where's the pilot?
Is this the pilot?
No, go further back. Yeah, right where his mouse is. That's the pilot.
Oh, that's the pilot.
So it's not big. Like it's
a little
maybe-
bigger than a Rhino. That you'll like one of those.
Which
It'd just be
has a
taller.
black hole inside of it.
Yes.
Which, because technically it's just like a single point. It's just there's so much mass at that single point.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just the
That's
fact that
crazy.
all the technology that they need to contain.
How
a
does
single-
anything compete with this? Like, to be honest, like even anything the Imperium has, how does anything compare to this?
It
Yeah.
shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Yeah.
No,
'Cause
no,
even,
no.
like,
Plot armor.
I
of a bitch, you got me.
The only thing that stops minus 5 AP is plot armor. I forgot.
The only armor strong enough is
Yeah.
plot armor. It's very true though. Like when you talk about what it actually does, it's so insane.
Yeah.
They have this room that contained every single star in the galaxy, and they could literally destroy stars from this room.
Oh my god.
How can you ever hope to beat the Necron when they could just snuff out the sun in a heartbeat?
So why haven't they done that though?
Plot armor.
No, first of all, plot armor. But second of all, I think that room has been lost because so many people wanted it that someone tried to hide it. And but these relics exist, and they're all over the galaxy. They're spread out, and there's even some human ones that are very similar to that were created in the Dark Age of the Golden Age of technology.
Yeah, right.
So another thing too about Necron though is they want to rule.
Yes, they don't want to just destroy.
That makes sense.
So if they just go destroy every sun, then they've just destroyed all their worshippers.
They need to be. They have that need of being worshipped.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So the ego of the Necron is the only thing saving us from the Necron.
That is 100%
beautiful.
Actually, that's a good point. I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the super heavies. First thing we have up is the Doomsday Monolith. So the Doomsday variant is a heavily modified monolith. Protected by an energy field of unknown design and over twice as tall. Its basic functions are similar to that of a standard monolith, floating and transporting Necron from other places.
I pulled up 2 pictures here. This doesn't actually have an official model.
It doesn't, but it is described.
Way better on the one on the left.
Yes.
But since we've never even had a picture, we've never had an official model, I put one on the right of what somebody else thought it could be like.
Yeah.
But the one on the left, I think it's made it into like white dwarfs and stuff.
It has.
Yeah.
The one on the right actually makes me way more think of an obelisk, but
sure.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Okay, its weapon has been suitably upgraded to match its increased height. Able to shoot a Gauss Obliterator, a stronger version of the Particle Whip. They are also protected by a phase shift generator, increasing its protection from attacks, though not of the Necron around it.
Question. How does a phase shift generator work?
Well,
can somebody...
It generates shifting phases.
Okay. That answers it for me, surprisingly enough.
Phase shift generator.
It says unknown mark.
Oh!
Get off his back.
The most interesting aspect of the Doomsday Monolith, though, is the energy grid. The Doomsday can take energy from nearby monoliths and unleash them all at once through its Gauss Obliterator, creating a truly terrifying weapon.
Yeah, this is where the monoliths get even scarier. So you have your monoliths creating their night shrouds and their nullifying zones, and then you slap down a Doomsday Monolith, and now he adds to the defensive capability, but it then takes the offensive capabilities of the other monoliths and shoots it in a truly terrifying.
Because it wasn't terrifying enough
because
already.
It wasn't scary enough.
Yeah.
So they made it even worse.
It's nice.
Do you remember when they used to do, like, when they first, maybe they were called detachments.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I forget what they're called.
They were way back in the day. They unleashed like specific outfits you could take, and they said, look, if you took this, and this, you got special rules. And this had its own, I'm going to call it detachment, but I don't think that's the right word. This had its own detachment where if you took this and 3 other monoliths, you would get the full benefit of its destructive and defensive capabilities. And that was the heyday of the monolith. Impossible to beat, just creating formations. Yeah, that's what they were. But yeah, it was very cool. You really saw the power of the monolith back in the day.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, up next we got the Megalith. A mobile fortress. The Megalith is similar in shape to the monolith, but the size is far larger. It is so large, in fact, that it carries multiple monoliths within it.
Oh my gosh.
That's nice. That's what you want. And releases them onto the battlefield. Yeah. It is armed with an entire arsenal of gauze and particle weaponry.
Like, how could you possibly... It's just... There's going to be guns everywhere on that thing, right?
Yeah. Once again, there's no model, but I found a couple really cool ones.
Yeah, that one is like someone created like a little diorama of his army and brought it to Armies on Parade, I think.
The one regular monolith is smaller than that.
Yeah, that's a Tesseract Vault.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh.
It's huge, but
gorgeous.
It's crazy what some people do. A single megalith once annihilated 3 regiments of Catacomb jungle fighters and a force of Imperial Fist Space Marines. Regiments, there's no official number, but it could potentially be millions of guys.
Oh my
so
God.
it potentially by
Yeah.
itself could have killed 3 million guard plus whatever came to support them, and then as well a force of Space Marines.
Okay, so that's on the like pessimistic or optimistic side, depending on how you're looking at it. So 1 million on the biggest end. What would it be on the smaller side?
Yeah, probably. Like here, there's no really good way because it could literally be one person.
So he killed 3 Catacomb.
Yeah. The way Imperial Guard regiments works, it varies from planet to planet.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they never
yeah, that
actually.
makes sense,
Yeah. But like, even on tabletop,
It's very impressive, though.
it's very impressive. Even on tabletop, like you play on the platoon level, and that has like 100 guys, and then each platoon goes into a company, and a company has hundreds of platoons, and then there's multiple platoons in
Or
a
companies.
regiment.
Companies in the regiment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like so it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah. I think even for this, I don't even think they destroyed the Megalith. I think they left
Doesn't
it.
sound like
they left it alone
Yeah.
because they had thrown enough bodies at it. And they
I
realized they weren't
see.
going to get through it. Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do when
What
that
can you
thing has
do?
like
When it's
15 monoliths
Yeah, it's
inside
just
of it?
pooping
Like,
out monoliths. Oh my
What do you
God.
do?
And each monolith just gets stronger when there's another one
Yeah.
next to it. And
Oh, man.
yeah, Necron are cool.
Eric's
right.
just nerdgasming
so
over there.
let's take one more peek just at this picture right here.
Yeah.
That part right there, because that is the next thing we're talking about.
Yeah, the Tesseract Vault. So there it is in the real scale, and then if we go back an image, you'll see it all the way up there.
Yeah, like this is probably roughly how big it is in real life.
This is how big it is in real life.
That's about a foot and a half, give or take. Maybe a little less,
Anywhere
judging
from
by Eric's
12
hand.
to I don't own one. It's $200 for that model, and I've decided
She big.
I don't want to spend that on that. Anyways, Tesseract Vault. Housing one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, Tesseract Vaults are primarily used as containment units and prisons. Inside it is a transcendent Catan, an amalgamation of many shards of the once all-powerful race of star gods. Because the Catan constantly leaks destructive energy, the vault is in a constant state of break and repair. The Necron
crazy.
Yeah. The Necron use the Catan's own power against it by powering the canoptic creatures that contain and repair the vault. And we actually talk about the canoptic creatures that are all on this thing. There's leeches and sentinels and scarabs and everything. But we do that on our
Crypts of the Necron.
Crypts of the Necron episode. It's like a 51 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, but we do talk about everything that's specifically on this vault. And there's a lot, so it's pretty cool. When absolutely needed, Tesseract Vaults are let loose on the battlefield, and the Transcendent Catan is pointed at the enemy, letting loose reality-altering blasts of energy. The only solace the Catan, have in their prison is being able to deal death and suffering whenever they can.
That's nice. That's a good consolation prize.
Yeah. Once the rulers of the galaxy and the owners of the material universe now just
Glorified laser weapons.
in some cases of absolute necessity, the Necron unleash the Catan so that they set it free from the Tesseract Vault. Or it might just even overload the vault itself, if the vault takes enough damage. Yeah. And then it unleashes its power on a rampage wherever it is. This is just as dangerous for the Necron as it is their enemies, because obviously these gods hate their slavers.
So who cleans that up? Like,
Yeah, how
what,
do they
is that
recapture
Catan
them
just like out
afterwards?
there?
You leave.
You
don't.
Then he's just free. Like,
Yeah,
The sector's done with.
Like,
What do?
Yeah,
okay, how many of these things are there?
Unknown. Could be hundreds, could be thousands, could be millions.
Could
Yeah,
be
like this
one.
isn't like a
Millions.
super rare thing. Like
It's not?
Crazy.
no.
Well,
Oh.
it's not rare enough that you don't see it. Like it's very common for a dynasty to have multiple of these.
Yeah.
So, and there's many dynasties out there.
Yeah.
There were many Catan gods when they first arrived.
Yeah.
There were many, many of them. And then when the Necron rose up and threw down their gods, they
Sharded them.
I was trying to avoid. They shattered them.
Into
Yeah, they broke
shards.
their gods into infinite pieces. So
Yeah.
there's shards of these beings all throughout the galaxy, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're slumbering, sometimes they're caged,
Yeah.
sometimes they're set themselves up as gods and make people worship them. And
It says transcendent Catan. Is there any difference between that and like just a normal Catan?
yeah, so a transcendent one is an amalgamation of many different shards. So each individual
'Cause-
star
yeah.
god was a being and
Yeah.
a personality in and of itself. There was the Nightbringer, there was the Deceiver, there was the Burning One.
Yeah.
Megalodroth.
Yeah, the Void Dragon.
Yeah.
But anyways, they all had their own personality and power and character. But then when they were shattered, these shards went everywhere. And then if you took a shard of the Nightbringer and a shard of the Deceiver and they merged, they would become a transcendent Catan. So they lack the personality of what they once were, but now they're insane. Well, more insane than they already
Right.
are. But
Right.
they've also doubled power and
Yeah.
got more. And
It's stronger than like individual shards, but still not nearly as strong as a full
Correct.
Catan.
Okay, so not a full Catan.
no, not even. Catans were truly like masters of reality.
Yeah.
They could reshape reality to whatever they wanted.
Right.
So
It's cool too. Like they got this like spider creature hovering above. Like you actually see the transcendent Satan. They got this spider creature above it. With,
it's
like,
called the
these tentacles.
Canoptic Sentinel.
Okay, yeah, and it's got like these
Oh, yeah,
tentacles
yeah.
on it that like keeps it in check somehow. Like
Yeah, it's
Oh,
constantly.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
what
remember
these
hearing
are.
about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
before.
If
Yeah,
you
right there.
if you guys have seen Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock and he
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
his things and he's containing the
Yeah.
solar sun
Right.
and the
that's
flares
a perfect image.
that's exactly how I see this thing doing. Any kind of energy that tries to lash out, it blocks and tries to push it back and contain it into the center. So
It's amazing. This is really cool.
it's awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I should get one.
No, 2. Get 3. We agreed on something.
Yeah.
That's it. After this, we'll go to GW and get you 3 of these.
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, the next thing we got is the Aonik Orb.
Oh, who wants to read this one?
I'll read it. Even during the war against the ancients, only a handful of these were used. So this is 60 million years ago. Only a handful were used. This weapon is fueled by a fragment of a star. It is rumored that the Satan need to destroy an entire star in order to acquire the necessary components for this weapon's energy source. So you need a blown up star, I guess.
But it kind of makes sense why they were seen back in the day then and maybe not now.
You can't
Because-
get the components.
Exactly, yeah.
Sure.
Maybe the Catan are no longer capable of breaking down stars completely anymore.
Yeah. The essence is then encased in an orb-shaped containment field that sits on top of skimmer platform, giving this weapon system frightening mobility, which is most often used to give the Aonik Orb the most favorable firing positions to take out enemy titans. The firing mechanism of the weapon is as simple as it is effective, merely by changing the containment field of the orb. The orb is capable of unleashing devastating bolts of energy that can cut virtually any material uncontested. Fortunately, after a shot of the solar flare weapon, the orb seems to require a significant amount of time to recharge.
Oh, thank God. Thank God once it finishes cutting through my planet,
Yeah.
it needs a little time to recharge.
Yeah. The orb's secondary weapon is the solar burst, is simply a short-range, less powerful version of the solar flare beam. This is compensated for by the beam affecting a larger area due to the increased radiation effects and the greater accuracy. The destruction of the containment field results in an explosion so large that the planet itself is most likely doomed. So
even if you win, you lose.
yeah. Doesn't have models.
Yeah.
Some people have done some interesting takes on it, but yeah, you don't ever want to see them. That's the last thing you want to see.
Yeah, like you can't
It's the
even.
last thing you
We'll
would see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the biggest vehicle, right?
No.
Oh wait, no.
Well, there's okay.
I think there's a couple
The
bigger.
abattoir, I
Yeah.
think, is technically bigger, and then there's also
Their aircraft are probably bigger.
their
Oh,
aircraft
right.
are bigger,
That
and
makes
then
sense.
there was also a one-off, the World Engine,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which
So,
is much bigger. So
yeah.
this
It gets worse.
Yeah,
Okay.
it gets worse.
Just clarifying, pretty much everything we've talked about thus far has been like planet side, right?
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
are things that
Yeah.
you would see
Yeah.
go to a planet.
Exactly, they're part of
during
the
an
invasion force.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But if you fire this, isn't it just ripping the planet?
well, I mean, you just have to be careful where you're aiming it.
So you just
right?
aim
What
it
if-
slightly above the surface,
Exactly. Yeah.
Just take a little off the top.
just skimming like the surface.
Whoa! I wanted a 0, not a.
The orbiting moon just gets hit instead. So it's like the moon gets blown up. And it's like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Some of these
Great.
things are absolutely wild.
great. Thank you. Cool.
It's almost too powerful to be actually useful.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
definitely see
Well,
what you mean.
Especially because they want people to worship them. So if you destroy a planet,
Well, okay. So you think about when these engines of war were created. They were created in a time when the
Oh, yeah.
Catan were the driving force behind the Necron,
Right.
and the Necron were embroiled in a galactic-sized war against the old ones and all their upstart races. So in that moment, I think the Necron were much more going towards the route of bigger is better, less than, let's preserve
some
life
alive.
so we can rule it. They were they were fighting their war.
Yeah.
And
at that point it was survival.
Yeah, because at some points they were losing this war.
Right. So I'm sure that they needed this to defeat some kind of old one technology.
Absolutely,
Some
yeah.
sort.
They rose to the occasion, right? So,
Right.
and then at some point they were completely beating the old ones, and you can attribute probably a lot of it to their star capturing technology.
And although it does say that there was only a few of these even at that time, back then.
Maybe that was
So-
all that was needed, right? Or maybe that was all they could afford to make.
Yeah.
Who knows? But devastating firepower.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that kind of does conclude our planet side mobile war engines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other words can we use?
Yeah, I don't know. But there's still more, though. Don't worry. So the next one we have are what we considered weapons platforms. And the first one we have are Sentry Pylons. So they are automated defensive weapons platforms used by the Necron. They're a smaller version of the Pylon that we're going to talk about in a heartbeat. Stationed around Tomb Worlds for defensive measures, they also have the ability to teleport to a war zone to act as an artillery piece for advancing Necron. So the distinction here is that this isn't piloted. Conceivably, any of the other war engines that we've talked about, there are Necron pointing the trigger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Pointing the gun, pulling the trigger. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
I'm not that stupid. I'm just sometimes. Anyways.
Ah.
But these ones,
Self-deprecating. Indeed.
yeah, but these ones are definitely more just
Automated.
turrets. They're automated turrets run by computers, presumably the master program on Tomb Worlds.
Yeah.
And then just probably on some kind of program on the war zone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't target Necron, target everything else.
Sure.
So
Yeah. They're big. How big are these? Probably like maybe 2 fists. Sure. 2 fists tall.
they probably sit anywhere from like 6 to 8 inches.
Okay.
Okay, 6 to 8. I don't know. I don't have any myself. They're a Forge World model, which means inevitably they're expensive. So
They're pretty cool though. They got
Yeah.
a cool shape to them. Up next we got the Necron Pylon.
Yeah. So the Necron Pylon is a massive weapon emplacement equipped with a particle accelerator, which is a larger version of a monolith particle whip.
Ah, that's
So-
nice.
Good stuff. It's used to defend Tomb Worlds, but equally useful for their ability to teleport onto active battlefields, releasing a blast of Gauss energy and teleporting away before the enemy can react.
The teleportation, it's just so crazy.
Seems
How?
really broken. Like you just teleport onto a battlefield, boom, 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 and then teleport away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only that, but this also has. Oh, actually, you're gonna read it, so I'll let you talk about that.
As Eric was about to say, for more drawn-out engagements, the Pylon is equipped with a phase shift generator, which allows nearby Necron to shrug off the most grievous incoming battle damage. So
And
it's
if I
also
learned
a
anything,
shield that just teleports into the middle of battle, just wrecks phase, can teleport out if it ever needed to, but it's also bolstering the defense of every unit around it.
Correct.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. I have one of these.
They're big.
It's so cool. It's another pretty iconic Necron
Sure.
Is the
thing.
teleportation reflected on tabletop?
Yeah, you can deep strike it.
Oof.
So
Yeah. It's fun.
and it gives like an invulnerable save to everything around it, which is pretty cool. You can just park your warriors around it, and it's just like a defensive position for them. But yeah, that gun it decimates things.
Yeah.
If that thing hits, it's
whatever it hits, it's pretty much gonna kill.
Yeah, it almost. I don't think on average, but it's not. It's definitely not outside the realm of possibility for it to go through a night in one single shooting phase,
Which is something special.
which is pretty crazy.
Especially since it just teleports in, it just shoots, blows up a knight, then teleports away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang.
Thank you.
Like, there's a wall that we've been getting trouble, or there's like a massive monastery that we need to. All right, bring in the Necron Pylon. We'll destroy a building with this building-sized gun. It's wild. Very cool. Very, very cool. You're up, Rio.
Okay, so obelisks. They share a similar pyramid appearance to the monolith. However, its purpose is entirely different. They are seated throughout the tomb world, cities, and upon activation serve as air defense platforms. So once awakened by either automatically sensing enemy aircraft or intentionally by their Necron creators, the obelisk rises from the earth and levels out far above the surface, blasting enemy aircraft out of the sky. Tesla arcs?
With Tesla
With
arcs.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Blasting enemy aircraft out of the sky with Tesla arcs. If these defensive measures aren't enough, the obelisk will release a short-range grav wave pulse, shortening out systems, causing planes to plummet to the ground.
Yeah, there must be some picture, because all I can see is like a shockwave, like running through it, and then everything just falling from the sky as it just slowly rotates in the sky. Like the slow, immovable aspect of the Necron was what I loved. It was just this march of death that came or rose up slowly. It didn't look that dangerous, but it was just so far better than anything. Like, that's what I loved about Necron. I love the fact that this thing I picture them rising out of the ground
you just
and
see
just like arcs flying off at them, but it doesn't look like they're actually doing anything, right? They're just slowly moving, not
you see
in a hurry.
At first the ground's vibrating,
Yeah.
and then like it starts to crown and it's just like rips the earth open.
Absolutely.
And then just sends out a freaking gravity wave pulse. Just, so cool.
You don't want that.
Yeah, and then once everything is dead and crashed or dying on the ground, like you see doors open and Necron just walks.
Like this ominous glow just emanating from their bodies.
It's so perfect horror.
Yeah.
It's really metal, yeah.
It is metal. It is
Living metal. Fuck that.
Anyways. All right, the abattoir. So once called World Harvesters by the Eldar, these massive building-sized vehicles have been responsible for the destruction and consumption of many civilized worlds. These ancient devices were originally built by the Necron for the sole purpose of harvesting life in preparation for their sacrifice to a Catan. So this is definitely a throwback to a time when the Necron were subjugated by the Catan.
Is this still around now, or this is pretty much
so I'm obvious, like I think it could exist now, but
it's not
It might serve
commonplace.
a very different purpose now than
exactly.
it originally.
With no phasing ability, unlike most of the Necron tech, these temples were instead brought to a world to be deployed on site for sacrifices. So no teleporting for these bad boys. But, like most Necron units, the Abattoir makes heavy use of Gauss weaponry, although its armaments are much, much stronger. So their weapons are not only flay their victims where they stand, but also harvest their pain and fear at the moment of death, creating a stored source of sustenance for the Catan. So it's just like they're creating batteries out of the pain and suffering of their victims.
For the Satanta.
So good.
So these tentacles, they just like whip around, just like flaying, like just...
Well, the way I kind of saw it was Gauss weaponry technically takes people down molecule by molecule. And that, I kind of assumed that there was some sort of technology that
It's a
would
molecule vacuum. Just right beside.
Honestly, like I don't know if I have like a way. Maybe all those little tentacle things grabbed people and then mushed them up in the building.
Yeah.
Or just
smashing it
slowly
against
sucks them
somebody.
molecule by molecule
Yeah.
Maybe,
through their
yeah.
tubes.
Well, yeah, it makes sense to me. Like, it could either be literally like a vacuum that goes near it, and then as it gets shot with Gauss and starts disintegrating, then it can like absorb some of that, or maybe like you're saying, like it can hold it and then shoot it with some Gauss, and then it like disintegrates it. No matter what,
They're
it's cool.
getting the job done.
This is
Yeah.
harvesting worlds. It's going through planets and like through cities, and I just picture another one of those massive things slowly moving, people running for their lives. There's no escape from this thing.
Yeah.
And it's just slowly but surely is going to harvest your entire planet.
And Necron don't work on timelines. They're patient.
Nope.
They have an eternity.
Yeah.
They literally have
They don't care.
eternity. Yeah, that's what I love about their their perspective on time
Yeah.
and their perspective on even war
Yeah.
is so different from ours. Like they don't believe in lost battles. They just believe in, let's go back and try it a different way now.
Yeah.
So-
Because even they don't actually lose.
They don't
people.
lose. Yeah.
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 It sort of reminds me, not in image so much, but kind of just the idea of like the tripods in War of the Worlds.
Oh my God. I'm so happy you said that.
You're gonna like what we talk about eventually. Then.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm so happy.
Check, everyone.
The beating off of the meat.
No, I was just
All the
slapping his
meats.
leg. Mark, get your mind out.
That's a meat.
It's consensual. It's fine.
Okay, thank God.
That's nice.
Well, okay, and that abattoir kind of heads off our weapons platform type things.
Sure.
So now let's get into aircraft.
Yeah.
And these would be planet side and space.
These are mainly planet side, but it's not inconceivable to think that you would find these in space as well, flying around their actual fleet.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, like think X-wings or something.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the only
exactly.
thing would be like propulsion systems. Like
Doesn't
so long as
matter
it's not
to a
propellers, it'll still work in
in
space.
what realm
I'm just saying.
have we even thought of
I'm just
conventional
saying.
means of technology?
I'm just saying, all
Even
of
once.
their stuff should still work in space, and they don't need to worry about like sealing
Do you not remember
airtight
the
stuff.
first thing
I know.
that we talked about?
I'm just saying.
It was designed
It's
for
for the
spacecraft.
audience.
He's pissed.
It was designed for
He's
space.
got a gun.
Yeah,
It was designed for space, and then they adapted it to the planet.
yeah,
No, all of these things you could conceivably find in space. In the next
Yeah.
this next
yeah.
category. Do you want to do the first one, Micah?
Sure. So the first one up is the Doom Scythe. It's piloted by Necron. Shocker there. These aircrafts have surpassed the limitation placed on biological and organic pilots. They are faster, quicker, more nimble, and can make decisions in a fraction of the time that most biological creatures can. And they are the iconic crescent-shaped aircraft.
Yeah, everyone jokes and calls these the croissants.
Yeah,
I've even seen a couple models where someone just takes the hull off the top and the bottom and they put them on a croissant. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's cool. You mentioned this with like the Tomb Blade. The pilot's like super exposed, even though it's like this could be a space flyer.
Yeah, you
pilot's
just see the
literally
the
just
pilot sitting in there.
Right there.
There's no covering.
There's no
on
need
him.
for it.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
it's
He
really
doesn't need
cool.
it.
So cool.
Which it's really nice that they like recognize that and they use it to the advantage of the model design.
Yeah,
And
100%.
It's something so unique that
Yeah.
you don't get anywhere else.
It would be one of those things where if someone were to read this whole and understand what it meant to be Necron, and then they see a bunch of vehicles where they're covered by clear plastic, and if you critically thought about it, you're like, well, what's the point? You
Yeah.
know,
Why?
what's the
Yeah.
necessity
Yeah.
of it? So it's kind of nice that they went from that from like day one.
Yeah.
And Doom Scythes are usually the first forces seen by the enemy as they sow terror and confusion among them. The whine created by the propulsion system is enough to drive those who hear it insane
We
or
actually
even
got,
catatonic.
We got a soundbite for that propulsion
Yeah,
line.
if you guys could just direct your ears to the speakers right here.
Lay it on us. Let us hear. Catatonic fear.
Catatonic. Yeah, you're catatonic.
I was expecting one of you guys just to just really, really hard. Anyways, for firepower, they're equipped with Tesla Destructors and Death Rays.
There's actually a really cool thing about Doom Scythes. If you have 3 of them together, they all can focus on the same point in a battle, and it just does this pulsing blast of death.
Like, think Death Star, where you have the multiple beams combined into one beam?
Kind of, yeah. But instead of it making one beam, they all just focus on the same point. So their beams just converge at the same target.
Cross streams.
Well,
That's
I learned
dangerous.
that very early on.
Dangerous things happen.
But
then.
yeah, they just seem to, when they have to like all hit the same point and at the same time, and then it just creates this bubble of death around that point, which is much stronger than the standard death ray.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You know, because the death ray wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the Night Scythe up next. The Night Scythe is a variant of the Doom Scythe, sacrificing its death ray weaponry for a wormhole generator. Makes sense. The Necron wait on their tomb worlds many light years away for the Night Scythe to open a wormhole, transporting them to the battlefield. In this way, Necron forces may infiltrate a planet by the use of a single aircraft that is fast enough to evade enemy fire and defenses, and then just create a wormhole, teleport an entire fucking dynasty.
It's
of warriors.
very common in the first stages of a Necron invasion for this to arrive, transport a bunch of Necron forces to the planet, and then they set up a signal, and then all of a sudden, Necron Pylon, Monolith, Megalith, Doomsday Megalith, Doomsday Arc, everything just starts flooding into the planet.
Right.
Like, they don't need to make planetfall.
Yeah.
Because they literally just teleport to your planet as soon as they have, like, a lock.
Yeah, and they just send one ship out.
It's
and
just
then
a single Night Scythe. That's all
Yeah.
it takes.
Maybe 2 if you want to be redundant. But,
Sure.
yeah.
If you're crazy.
If you're crazy.
Yeah, and you don't believe in your Necron tech.
Keep this in mind, this ship, when we start talking about the fleet. I'll bring that point up later.
Okay.
But keep this in the back of your mind.
You can even, you can't really see it on these models, unfortunately, but if you flip it underneath, like you'll notice, like see this picture right here?
He's not talking into a mic, so see this picture right here.
They
It's
can hear it. I'm talking loud. There's a picture, the gun normally goes right here, but underneath there's this flat mirror. So you see the gun, right? But instead of the gun, there's this weird, go to the next one. Yeah. There's this piece right here, and it's flat, it's circular, and it looks very much like the door of the Eternity Gate on the Monolith. It's swirly, it looks like a watery surface, and in the same way that the Monolith is a wormhole generator, that's what that is too. So it's just, how did they get that? How Necron tech too good for work? You know?
Looking at it, looks like an orc helmet with just horns, either
dare
going
you.
down or up.
How dare you?
Oh, I can see it. Yes. Aha. Like eye, mouth, and then
Yeah, just like some nice Viking horns.
I like it.
And Eric's very disappointed in me.
Eric, what do you think about this conversion that I tossed up here?
I do not like those bananas at all.
I really like it. I
like
saw it
that
and was
too.
like, because it's unique.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Yeah, I like it that it, like they have their Doom Scythe and then they'd have this one. Basically,
Yeah.
they took the crescent and they flipped it.
They inverted the
Backwards.
wings, so
Yeah.
The crazy thing about the Doom Scythe and Night Scythe models is that you can just push fit the 2 different parts on.
Sure.
It's just friction fit. You don't even have to magnetize them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Nice.
2 models for the price of 1. Overly priced model.
How dare
All
you.
right.
What a deal.
What a deal.
All right, Night Shroud. I'll do this one. So the Night Shroud is a Necron bomber aircraft. It's larger than the more numerous Night Scythe and Doom Scythe that accompany it into battle, and the Night Shroud origins date back millions of years to the War in Heaven. So the Night Shroud's primary armament is the Death Spheres, a relic containment vessel imprisoning a fragment of antimatter.
That's neat.
The warhead is kept phased out of the material universe until the Death Sphere detonates, unleashing an energy blast that annihilates all it touches.
Sweet. Very nice.
Yeah,
Very,
but guys,
very nice.
rail rifles.
Rail rifles.
They love like imprisoning things that normally can't be imprisoned.
Yeah.
100%. They love taking things that are impossible and just bringing them to your doorstep and saying,
And putting
Merry
them
Christmas.
in a vehicle.
Just like a basically a god of the material universe contained. Black hole contained. Like,
Singularities contained.
bam.
Antimatter.
contained.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
In a separate universe, temporary storage
They
until you
literally
want to
phase
create
it
a
out
bomb.
of reality. Because like, well, we don't want it to like go off in our own hands, so we'll just phase it out of reality.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Necron tech, 10 out of 10.
Science. It's all science.
Guys, it all
Science
checks out.
fancy.
It all checks science fancy.
One thing that I find interesting is it says like the Night Scythe and the Doom Scythe are more numerous than this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with the Night Scythe, you can just have one go to planet side, and then suddenly your entire force is there.
Yeah, but another thing about the Night Scythe is if you have 2 Night Scythes, you can just teleport warriors because both of them open wormholes or black holes, right? So you can just connect that Night Scythe to this Night Scythe and transport warriors from one side of the battlefield to the next if you want.
Okay, yeah.
So you definitely want multiple of them.
More options.
And they're also just fighter craft, right? So you need the capability of fighting people in the air.
Cool.
So. But yeah, these Night Shrouds, they're bombers.
Yeah.
With antimatter bombs. So
Yeah.
So nice.
All right, so that's their main kind of ships, conventional ships or whatever. Now we'll get to their fleet. So when we go through these, we often talk about like how rare they are, and how the Imperium has like seen like only one of this ship has ever even been seen. I think a lot of the reason for that is because of the Night Scythe. You don't need to have these ships float across space. You only need the one to send it which way or that way. That's kind of my thought. It could also just be that not enough have awoken yet. Who knows? They don't really explain it.
yeah, I definitely fall under the more not awoken yet.
Sure.
Or the fact that I see a lot of these, definitely the larger battleships in the fleet, as a status symbol.
Sure.
So your rundown lord of planet Z over here, he doesn't have the Cairn class tomb ship, but Emotek, he has a Cairn class, and I don't see Emotek traveling from battle to battle by teleport unless he's like, I have to be there in a heartbeat. Yeah. But other than that, he carries his entire court with him on one of their battle cruisers, and that's kind of how I see it. But I do
more status symbol.
It's a status thing for sure,
and they don't care
me.
about timelines. It doesn't matter if they take the planet 1,000 years from now or tomorrow.
Sure, yeah. There's only one thing that might alter a Necron's timeline, and that's Tyranids.
Yeah, they ruin everything.
Yeah. But anyways, let's talk about the fleet. Rio's going to take it away for us.
Okay. So the first in our fleet, we're going to talk about a battleship, and it's the Cairn class tomb ship. So the largest and the most powerful of all Necron warships. They measure 15 kilometers wide in size, and for the Americans, I don't know what that is.
1.2 miles.
In miles.
No,
Checks out.
just under 10 miles. 9.6, I'm guessing.
Kilometers to miles. What was your guess?
9.6.
Wow,
That's
9.3.
Ah,
Yeah.
so close.
Okay. So they are also crescent in shape, but with a pyramid building based at the rear. And they are so heavily armed as to easily destroy an Imperial battleship. And the Imperium's only consolation is the rarity in which they have ever been seen.
Yeah, like they can't destroy them. So the only saving grace for the Imperium is the fact that they just don't encounter them.
Yeah.
So,
That might be another reason why they're rare, because you just don't need them.
yeah,
Like,
true.
You need one,
Yeah.
Right.
and you're good.
Yeah. And when seen, they are always heavily protected and part of a large fleet, which makes destroying one all but impossible. I feel like the only thing that could destroy one is another
Another Necron.
Necron deck. Yeah.
Yeah. Which happens probably more often than we would like.
We
We.
you just lumped yourself in with them, didn't you?
Nobody wants to see brother fight brother. You know? My metal brothers.
Eric, have you ever shown your tattoo to the Lorehammer peoples?
I'm sure I have.
Flash it for
They
the
don't
camera.
want to see it.
Flash it for the
Flash
camera.
it.
Do it.
Eric's been branded by the Necron. Oh, I don't like the way he went.
If you would like to see Eric's tattoo, please contribute at least $2 on
$2.
Patreon.
Sun coming up on this one.
Oh, what you gonna do?
Great night.
Oh,
I have the not appointment made yet, but
The idea's in your head.
No. I'm talking to the tattoo artist.
Oh, sick.
That's
about
sweet.
it. Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah,
Is it going to be more? It's going to be a little bit more complex.
It's
though,
a
in
more
terms of
complex,
detail,
but the
right?
style is supposed to also be very simple.
Oh,
and
okay.
similar. Like I really like the fine, clear lines.
Yeah,
I like
So,
that too. That's a great tattoo.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
The guy who
will
did
keep
it.
you safe when the Necron Overlords come.
Absolutely, they'll see my branding.
Look.
The guy who did it, I kid you not, bumped a line of cocaine right before he tattooed me. Dude had like a nice. So I was in Portland hanging out. It was a little side story.
It's all coming
Little
together.
side story.
I love it.
So I was in Portland hanging out with a buddy, and he and I were like, you know what we're gonna do today? We're gonna get tattoos. Neither of us had a tattoo at the time, so
Yeah.
we go there, and this guy's like, yeah, welcome to my shop, man. And he's classic rock hard American.
Merca.
Like big ponytail, bunch of eagles pictured everywhere. You know, loves America, loves freedom. Classic. And he like went back to the bathroom right before we started. He comes out and he's like, "All right, boys, who's first?"
Oh my god.
And my friend Will and I, we just look at each other, and I'm like, "Well, I guess it's me." Yeah, and then halfway through tattooing, I'm like, "Oh my god, dude just has like a shotgun sitting right here beside him. Had a
Just in
pistol
case.
on his hip, a shotgun right on his cart. I felt very safe."
Oh yeah, of course.
In case any, marauders decided at that point to come into the Necron shop that I was getting, or the tattoo shop that I was getting branded. But,
Never heard that story. It is delightful.
oh, yeah, guy bumped a line of coke and then gave me a tattoo.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But he was
very
doing it.
straight.
He was doing it to pay for his daughter's college.
Oh yeah,
those lines are pretty clean, like considering the guy was on
Considering
coke.
he was on coke.
that's why they're clean.
Yeah.
Focused.
It could be better. It could be better.
Could it?
Yeah, there's a couple lines here that I'm not super happy with, but it's only because I stare at the thing 24/7.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I constantly worship the gods that this represents. I'm constantly sacrificing and doing my praise be to the Necron, our Lord, Savior of our souls. Please protect us when you come for us. Spare us from the energy. I do my prayers daily to keep us safe. I'm doing it to keep you safe, Mark.
Thank you.
So Mark doesn't die.
So I'm covered as well when they come.
sunny.
Absolutely. I got you
perfect.
too.
All right.
Anyone who's a part of Lorehammer, I got.
Nice, including the fans who pay on Patreon.
Absolutely. I got you guys covered. Back to our episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the segue back to it? Like is
Necron tattoo, Necron episode.
Okay, perfect. Cruisers. We're into the cruisers
You know
now.
what? He was as high
Uh-huh.
as some of these ships fly.
Whoa.
There you go.
There we go.
That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do, Eric. That'll do.
Which ships are you talking about specifically?
I'm talking about the Shroud class light cruisers.
Oh,
Oh no, shit.
The
That's
Scythe
the wrong
class cruiser is what we're gonna do.
so close.
I was wrong.
Much more common than the Cairn class tomb ships. They frequently guard. The Scythe class has two variants: the Reaper and the Harvester. The Reaper carries sphexular
Yeah.
weapon system, while the Harvester does not.
For any English-speaking people,
Sepulcher.
sepulcher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean, though?
A sepulcher weapon is nothing other than an energy weapon.
Oh, okay.
It's like they gave it a different designation. I'm assuming it's like a magnified differently, but in the end, it's just energy weapon, just like particle whips or gauss flares.
Bright glowy
So-
beams.
Yeah, exactly.
While they appear light and easily destroyed, this is far from the reality. Every instance the Imperial engagement with Necron fleets include the Scythe class ships, but only 3 have ever been disabled.
And you'll notice it says disabled,
Yeah.
Not even destroyed.
not destroyed.
That's nice.
So these are just the guard ships for the Cairn class. And then these are also very common. Apparently, there anytime the Imperium has engaged Necron fleets, these are there, and they just can't kill them. I think in the story I read, it took 3 battleship class cruisers, Imperium cruisers, to
Disable.
disable a single
Wow.
like
That's wild.
Scythe class ship. So
Gosh.
it's pretty wild.
Okay.
Let's talk. I will talk about the Shroud class. So, equipped with a heavy complement of lightning arc turrets, they were first recorded by the Imperium in 992 M41, but conceivably they've been around for 60 million years. Because of their common tactic of retreating from battle, this specific ship, the thought is that they perform battle evaluations of other races. So they engage the races, they see what kind of weaponry are they putting at us, what are their shields capable of. Okay, let's document all that, let's go away, let's report back, you know.
In my head, it's just like a rude teacher just sitting at the edge of the classroom, just taking notes on who's doing good and who's not, just like scowling at the classroom. That's what that is, just during an invasion of your planet where you're all dying.
Yeah. But it's like this thing is also engaging, but when it gets enough data, it just leaves.
Yeah.
It just... Yeah,
That's so brutal.
just leaves, and then it takes back, and then it realizes, oh, we only need one ship to kill these guys because they're so weak compared to us.
The picture has a really cool Aztec-looking pyramid on top of the ship. It looks sweet.
Corona.
Sorry, Corona. You'll actually see those pyramids on a lot of their ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we... go back one more. Yeah, there we go. So you can even see the pyramid on the Cairn class. It's kind of hard to describe, but the crescent is flat, and then there's a pyramid on the base of it, and it's very cool.
Yeah, it
that
looks
they keep
awesome,
they keep that theme throughout it. So, who wants to do the cartouche?
Rio, you want it?
Sure. So the Cartouche light class cruiser, it is bearing strong resemblance to the Shroud class. The primary difference between the two ships is that the Cartouche is equipped with both particle whip and lightning arc arrays, while the Shroud is equipped with solely the latter.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't look the
Not too
same, but
different.
No, I don't think it looks the same either.
that's the image I was given.
Yeah, it's these are a little old.
Sure.
And they're all from Battlefleet Gothic, and I don't know if they get updates regularly.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. What's the game?
Battlefleet Gothic.
That's the video game, is like Armada or something? Yeah, Armada. And so there's a lot of the pictures that we have are just stills from that game.
Sure.
Perfect.
So
I want to play that game, but apparently it's very computer heavy.
How? What?
isn't it old?
No, Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2? That came out like last couple years. A year or
when
two.
was the first one?
I don't know. That one would probably have been like the 90s.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm thinking of then.
And then they had the board game, which is a completely different thing because it's on a board and not a computer.
What's the gameplay like?
It's fleet based. Like think. I don't know if you've ever played like Star Trek, any Star Trek games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where it's, you
That's
move in
cool.
your
It's
It's a
ships
real
and
time
firing
tactics game.
Yeah.
firing torpedoes and stuff and trying to avoid. And
Cool.
but apparently, yeah, like it's very, I don't know, computer heavy. I don't know how you actually say that. but-
Intensive.
Yeah.
Computer-intensive.
Demanding. Yeah,
Demanding.
whatever.
Yeah.
Following that, we have the Kopesh class light cruiser. They are more heavily armed than the Shroud class light cruiser and very effective when used in conjunction with the Shroud, taking more damage before allowing the Shrouds to get in closer. Kopesh class vessels wield lightning arcs and particle whip batteries.
Cool. So it's just kind of like a defensive shield thing.
Cartouche. Like a
Cartouche.
heavily armored cartouche, right?
Yeah. Looks different.
It's like a TIE fighter with croissants on the sides and an Aztec pyramid in the center.
They really amped up the crescent
shit.
and the number of ways that they can twist the crescents on their ships. All right, let's talk about their escorts. One escort they have is the Dirge class Raider. It's the smallest Necron ship and is equipped with lightning batteries. While small, it's still a formidable foe, as all Necron tech is.
Yeah.
One cool story involves a Dirge class Raider being buried in sand on a planet, only to rise out of the sand and fly off into space after killing those that awoke it naturally.
Yeah.
So,
But it's just once again that cool image of the ground vibrating.
absolutely
then
massive
you dead.
earthquake, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, yeah.
And surprise, it's another crescent.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, this one's pure green, though. Most of the other ones had like a more metallic color.
And this one's a little bit more banana than croissant.
It really is, though. You're 100% right on that. I definitely see it now.
Holy shit.
It's a little more banana.
Okay, and the Jackal class raider.
So that's the last one in the fleet that we have.
Yeah. These are equivalent size and purpose of Imperial escort ships. They almost always accompany a Cairn class tomb ship protecting the rear of the mighty ship.
Yeah, just another version of a fighter ship that they have.
Yeah.
And like these are all big too. Like I'm sure this thing's like a kilometer long. Like maybe
Sure.
not, but I'm sure it's big.
It's
Like,
it's
not
if
not
you
large
compare
enough
it to
to,
be
like-
able to protect a 15-kilometer long ship.
It's comparable to Imperial escort ships.
I
imagine an escort ship. I guess depends on what it's escorting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, like, there's not a super lot of info on a lot of this stuff
Sure.
out there, so it's a little tough. And because it's old, it hasn't been updated. It's not updated very often,
Right.
so it's not super ideal for us deep diving in. It's more just hey, here's what we know. You know, fill in the details in your own head. But there's one more craft that doesn't fit under any of these things. It's a planet-sized Necron craft. And it's called the World Engine.
Oh, that's so good.
So it's the largest Necron creation ever seen. It was the size of a planet.
That's nice. Oh, that's no moon.
There we go.
Oh.
It ravaged entire systems, until the sacrifice of 772 Astroknights flew their cruiser into it and boarded the engine. Eventually, the shield systems were destroyed, allowing every Imperial ship in range to blow the World Engine to pieces.
There's a really cool book on it called The World Engine.
The World Engine.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Sorry. The World Engine, apparently the shields were just so strong that nothing could penetrate it. And then it just had so many craft around it protecting it.
Just ram into
So
it. and
they
wreck it
rammed
from the inside
their
out.
massive battle cruiser just right into the heart of it. And then apparently the battle between... So there were 772 Space Marines, and it took them 100 hours to fight their way. Is that... What do we got?
Just stuff. I don't know if any of these are actually official.
I don't think they have official artwork of
No,
the
Jamie,
World
that's the
Engine.
wrong picture.
Yeah, but so apparently the battle, once the Space Marines infiltrated, it took them, so it was 772 Space Marines against hundreds of thousands of Necron warriors, and they just fought their way through the corridors,
So cool.
destroying command node after command node
one
and
by
shield
one
after
dying.
shield. Yeah, and every time a Space Marine died, they just felt it that much harder, you know, because there's infinite waves of Necron coming after them, and eventually they got to the main command node and destroyed it, and the shields went down, and they just told every other Imperial ship and system, like, blow this thing to hell, and you know, they destroyed it and killing all the Astroknights within.
Do you happen to know, like, roughly when in the 40K timeline that was, or?
I don't have
I would
it
imagine
offhand.
39.
Yeah,
that's my
that's
guess.
your world.
Because Necron really haven't been around that long. So late
It would have to be
M39.
recent for sure.
While Eric's looking that up, I looked up how big an escort ship is, and it's no larger than 2 kilometers, an Imperial one. So like even like small ships in 40K
Are stupid.
Huge.
are big.
926 M41.
926
M41.
Yeah,
Oh,
Necron are super recent.
That's recent, yeah.
They're very recent.
Sorry.
One of the cool
Get
things
the
about
lash.
the World Engine story, but not about Necron at all, is the fact that one of the planets in the Vidar subsector that the World Engine completely destroyed, the other Space Marines that were involved in the battle for the World Engine, they erected a monument, yes, out of the wreckage of the ship that the Astral Knights crashed into the World Engine, and all the Space Marine chapters that were at that battle take turns sending Space Marines just to guard this.
I remember you had mentioned that at some point.
There's no way we haven't talked about this, right? So, but it's cool to think that, you know, the Ultramarines who are part of this battle, they just send a couple Ultramarines every few years to just guard this and keep it alive in their memories, and I like that aspect of 40K, but it's now like a pilgrimage site too, that these pilgrims come to and thank the Astral Knights for destroying the World Engine. So
Very cool.
very cool.
This is cool.
That's it's kind of it.
Yeah, that's a lot of their stuff. The one nice thing is about this is they can keep adding to all this without having to like come up with weird reasons. Like it's always weird when you add new stuff to the Imperium range. It's like
because everyone should know everything about the Imperium range.
Yeah, but these it's like like more stuff is constantly being awoken by the Necron, so it's like more stuff is being released. The other nice thing is that worked out for us is all the new Necron releases that are coming up don't fall into any of these categories. They're all like either part
Canoptic
of the
or actual creatures.
legions.
Yeah,
So
Interesting.
this episode is valid. I validate myself. That's what I'm saying.
How you do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take that.
It's kind of cool to think that all the more vehicular stuff is still going to stick around for the foreseeable future, except for
The old monolith.
Monolith.
That's the only one I guess.
Which is getting its new model. It's very. Do you want to pull a picture up, Jamie? It's very reminiscent.
I'm not worthy of that title at all.
Of the old monolith. Obviously, it got an update in terms of some of the aesthetics of it, but the big difference is that instead of a crystal in that top energy part, it's now a sphere.
Oh.
And it's a sphere, and it has the what do you call that when it just has like a bunch of like facets? Mark, don't you pull Bombot up?
Bombot.
No Bombot.
Huh?
Bombot.
Oh, it's the best.
That's what you wanted me to pull up, right?
No. Damn it, Mark.
It's special bombs that are blown up by throwing a grenade at them.
And grenades.
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 Yeah.
It's not even that. Yeah. Dumb meme Mark's trying to make happen.
Sounds
It
like work
happened.
tech for some reason.
But yeah, they're really changing the monolith.
Do you like the new monolith?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's close enough to the old monolith shape that I'm still very happy with it.
Yeah.
And most people I talk to don't actually really like the clear plastic crystal aspect of the Necron, and they're definitely going away from that. I don't think it's crystal anymore. It's some opaque yellow. Is how I see it painted. So that's kind of cool because the clear is a little odd sometimes.
I could see it looking really like fake and
It looks kind of
cheap
out of
and-
place.
Yeah.
Cheap's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Like it just looks like a weird Lego thing. Just
Yeah,
on
there
your
we go.
model.
There's the new one. Ooh. Yeah, so it's still very reminiscent. You can still see the gate, the Eternity Gate that they step out of.
Yeah,
It has
even the
that-
gate looks cooler though.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I didn't mind the old gate,
it was still just that green.
but it was still
plastic.
just yes. You'd have to paint it to make it look good. But yeah, you can see there's still that sphere of energy, and it's kind of got those containing arms going up. It's got the vents. It's got the guns on the corners, just like old ones. So I think it's keeping a lot of the old feel.
Yeah.
Of the.
Well, still improving on it. Like
looks-
you don't feel like it's
yeah, it looks
completely
great, though.
different. It's
Yeah,
a
it
new
looks sweet.
iteration.
I'm probably just gonna trash my monolith.
You could almost even just like buy a golf ball, take out the crystal.
No, I'm more than happy to turn that into some piece of terrain.
Sure.
I'm more than happy to trash that thing and
Turn it into a Doomsday Arc. Then it can look different, but still be.
I have Doomsday Arcs.
Oh, not Doomsday Arc. Doomsday Monoliths.
Oh, a Doomsday Monolith.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Lots of options out there.
That's why.
Or take out the crystal and put a katana in, and then you've got a
now it's a
Tesseract.
Tesseract Vault.
There you go.
Yeah.
You want more options? What do we need to do to get you in a monolith today?
You just need to say, "Hey, Eric, here's a monolith." I don't understand the question. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That one isn't coming out immediately. The other ones are a lot of other options are coming out first.
Yeah.
But
So before we talk about some of the new Necron releases, there's one thing when we were going over the episode notes that Eric kind of was touching on that I thought was a really unique aspect of Necron.
it's the fact that they don't function as a transport army,
Yeah, like they really only have one transport, the Ghost Arc.
and it's not good. Like it's not good at transporting Necron. It's very much, when you read about it and understand it, it's there to support Necron's reanimation protocols.
Yeah.
It's there for them to stay on. If they can repair, they leave it again, and if they can't repair, it just breaks down their body.
Yeah.
So it's not. It just feels odd to view it as the same as a rhino.
Yeah.
Right. Or like a plane.
Yeah, but it's such a cool thing to like just think. Yeah, they just open up these portals and like just summon things in. Like
So that's what they should lean into.
Yeah.
For sure. I would hope that in this new iteration of Necron models, they don't try and become a transport army. I don't think they need to. I think they just need to focus on the other aspects of moving their own troops around, which is truly just teleportation.
Yeah.
And if they make it a little easier for us to move models with Night Scythes and Monoliths on the tabletop, I think that they can make that really cool.
Yeah, like some stratagems where now you just redeploy stuff wherever or next to stuff.
Those do exist now. Unfortunately, the models themselves are not worth taking.
Yeah.
So you just can't use them. But I think with the adding of this new monolith, hopefully it's good enough because they want people to buy it. And good rules sell models.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's good enough that we find a resurgence of teleporting Necron on the table, and it feels like it's actually quite a mobile army, even though it's a very slow-moving individual army.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
On the foot level, there are other things in the Necron army that are quicker than anything else on the battlefield.
Sure.
So, wraiths, destroyers, tomb blades are very quick. So,
yeah.
There's other things out there, but the teleportation aspect of the Necron army is definitely something that could be leaned into very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unique.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. New Necron stuff. We're not going to do like a whole box review or nothing, but if you had one model, Eric, what's your favorite new Necron model that they've kind of come out with?
Obviously, the Silent King is... Okay, so this is where the War of the Worlds... Yeah. So they're literally releasing models. There it is.
Oh, yeah,
that look like the ones from War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
and
you're
I
right.
think that's so awesome.
It
that
has
looks
4
amazing.
legs,
What's it
so
called?
there's no
Well,
IP
there's a
stealing.
3-1. There's a 3-1.
Okay, yeah, no, they're straight up stealing.
There's a Canoptic Reanimator that I think that one is, and then there's a Canoptic Doomsday. It's actually funny. We talked about how the Doomsday Arc is the only thing that's capable of holding a Doomsday Cannon. Well, it's technically not true anymore. One of those big spidery things actually has a Doomsday Cannon on its back that we've seen. So yeah, that's the big thing that we saw in the video
At the very end.
At the very end, yeah.
Oh, what a beast.
So the thing that I'm probably most excited for, though, I don't think it's the coolest model,
That's a good one.
but it's the Plasmancer. So it's right there. Make it big. Yeah.
Make it big.
So thanks,
yeah.
Jamie.
That's sweet.
So that is the thing I'm most looking forward to because it speaks to the fact that they're starting to make different kinds of cryptics. Cryptics have always just been this like a necessary thing if you're doing infantry Necron.
Yeah.
But it never was really cool.
Sure.
Right? They just added a +1 to reanimation protocols.
Yeah.
And you had to take
And
it.
these are like scientific inventors of the Necron.
These are geniuses.
Yeah,
like they understand the
the-
material universe the best right now.
They're
because
the ones
Catan
who are
gone.
making these fucking
The singularity,
singularity things.
And
like,
all they did on the entire tabletop was just made your guys slightly better at coming back to life. But there's entire different schools and disciplines that they actually fall into. So this is a Plasmancer, and it specifically says that it enhances the weapons of destruction for all the Necron. But there's Cryptomancers, there's Technomancers, there's the ones that manipulate time and weather and everything. So I'm really hoping that because of that, they're stepping into exploring the other aspects of the cryptic arts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most excited for. But
Yeah, like the way I'd like to see it happen on tabletop is literally they function in the psychic phase, like
without being psychic.
exactly,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's that whole kind of just
Well,
crazy magical.
Like this guy, I would enjoy him being like at the start of every round, if there's an infantry unit next to him, roll on this table and they get that bonus because he's enhancing them.
Yeah, that one's fine.
But there are some like the time one. Here's a couple time spells that you can attempt to manifest, and so I think they could make it really cool, and I'm looking forward to that a lot. Seeing how they interact because 9th is going to be a complete. Oh, there's the Doomsday one. Oh, even that one has 4. I lied, Micah. Sorry.
Ha!
But yeah, you see the Doomsday Cannon on top. That cannon normally sits in the in the Doomsday Arc, and now it's sitting on that bad boy.
So sick.
Those, you got to get one of those. Those are really cool.
I'm currently they're releasing like a box set,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be half Space Marines, half Necron. I'm currently getting 4 Necron.
4 Necron.
4 Necron halves of that.
How many
box.
dollars in shame is that?
Oh, I
It's
see.
at least
I see what you're saying.
it's at least $400.
Cool,
And,
crazy.
yeah. Anyways, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
I don't think the Plasmancer is the coolest looking model I've seen.
You're
but
just excited for the
I'm-
potential that's
exactly.
there.
I like him. I think he's
And he is
sweet.
very cool.
And there's a lot of variety in these new models, which I really like. It's visually interesting for sure.
And it's not all just the skeleton looking Necron.
Yeah, they're kind of just more making it horror and kind of stepping away from the fact that these are Terminators.
Yeah.
Right.
So, which I like. I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah. I think for me, I like the what do you call these ones, Eric?
Scorpec Destroyers.
Scorpec Destroyers. I've talked about this
Many
before,
times,
where
yeah.
the Necron Destroyer model is just weird. They have these weird hover engines, and really the whole Destroyer virus is they want to amplify their body to be like
Cult of Destruction.
Cult of Destruction. They want to make their body the most efficient destroying machines possible. So they, like these ones, they replace their legs and make them like super quick and whatever. They amplify themselves so much.
But they also just love destroying things up close.
Yeah.
But and you're right, it felt odd.
Yeah.
But how come everyone who's affected by this insanity only goes for the same modifications on their body?
Exactly.
It felt odd.
Yeah, and like I think I was gonna do something very similar to that. Like I always wanted to do some destroyers with spider legs and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's cool that that's coming out. So I'm kind of excited for that and seeing the actual Cult of Destruction kind of
Fleshed out.
and more options for it. Because they shouldn't all just be the same. Like they should be very different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the new Overlord. There's a Warden right beside him.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Overlord has a tachyon arrow that he fires.
This little thing.
So if you get hit by it, it obliterates you from space and time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it literally shoots like a.
It shoots a sliver of metal, but it's like so charged and it's so dense. This metal, it makes mountains disappear.
So when breaking something up like molecule by molecule until it doesn't exist isn't enough. You can now just eliminate something from space and time.
Delete them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just backspace.
Delete them.
That's
delete.
crazy.
Yeah, it's Necron tech is without a doubt so high up there. Nothing in 40K even comes close. Even the craziest relics from the golden age of technology.
Yeah.
It only starts to touch what Necron tech is capable of.
Yeah. And I really like what Micah kind of touched on it earlier, but I feel like you were right when you said the only thing stopping really the Necron from destroying everything is the fact that they don't really want to. They want to rule.
They need people to be below them.
But they could. I feel like they could just destroy the universe.
Yeah.
Universe is a big word, but definitely galaxy.
But everything in it.
Yeah.
Maybe not the universe itself, but and
Hey,
also
on a long enough timeline.
I feel like the Necron are probably the universe's only solution to the Tyranids.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons that
And chaos.
Tesseract is coming. Yeah. They're also considered a big anti words. They're considered also like a big fight against chaos as well. But Tyranids, like Tesseract the Silent King has been on a self-imposed exile for 60 million years, and he hasn't seen any need to come back.
Right.
Even with the appearance of chaos and the gods and Horus heresy and the fact that the Eldar are now hunting down Necron tomb worlds, he doesn't concern himself over any of that.
Yeah.
But as soon as he heard about Tyranids, he said, this thing will actually consume all life. And now, like, it's worth my attention.
Yeah.
And that's, it definitely puts the Tyranids on the scale of galactic monsters. So.
Yeah. Very cool.
They came from outside our galaxy as
They are
well. So, like,
intergalactic, yeah.
Do you think that he would have any knowledge about that at all, or no?
Who's Tesseract?
Yeah.
He met them outside the galaxy.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, that was where he first confronted them, and so then he's like, "Nope, gotta go back."
U-turn.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
cool.
Anything else we want to talk about Necron? Like, obviously, I can just do this all day. So.
No, I'm good.
Oh. Sad. He got me again. Cool. You know what? Before we end our episode, though, there are some people that we really want to thank. Mainly our contributors of our Imperial Tithe.
Our Patreon. Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out the names of everyone who's a member.
Before you do that, because everyone's going to sign out now.
No,
Go join our tithe.
Don't do that.
Stay. Listen. Join our
Yeah.
tithe. Help us out.
enjoy the fact that we thank the members of our tithe. But thank you to Arnie. Thank you to Nth. Thank you to Mass, Thomas, Connor, Crazy C4, Hamrick, Mehmet the Odd, Ethan, Padreg, Sex Lexar, Ian Lexesk, Jonathan, Mark-Erebus is a bitch.
It's true.
Alexis, T4TT_Z4PP3RR.
That's also true.
Andres, Aaron, Caleb, Dr. Itchy PP, Michael,
MD.
Michael, Matt, Mediocre Merits, Ryland, Calvin, 100 damn crotalids, Cutis? Really? Not Curtis? I don't know. Must be Cutis. Mark and Jormungandr. I
Sweet.
like that one. Yeah, guys, thank you so much to contributing to our Patreon. Honestly, it's really encouraging for us, and it only allows us to do more things. So
yeah, each month that goes by, we're just that much closer to doing this full time. So just
that much closer to producing even more content.
So go support us on our Patreon. Even $1 helps.
And then as well, guys, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, on Instagram. We have a really great hobby-focused, lore-focused Discord community.
Yeah, definitely go join the Discord in the next week or whatever, because we're going to be doing that Let's Talk Lorehammer, and we want you guys to all be involved in that podcast. So go check it out, and you can kind of keep posted on what we're doing.
Cool. Well, anything else before we end?
Boys, thank you for freeing up the time.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Yeah. It's good to have you on.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Touches.
Also consensual. Yeah. It's always consensual with Eric. Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah.
For your own mind if you don't want to fight it.
Rio knows the truth. Anyways,
for those of you who are not watching the video, that was very
don't watch it.
Don't.
It's just my knee.
Yeah, guys, don't be a prude. God. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.